Well, the 4th of July is almost upon us, so let's embrace American history with 3 presidential events, both important and not so much. But let's go on to it and begin. Let's begin with the honorary, non-sarcastically delivered statement that the single best president in U.S. history is Richard Nixon. Now that that's out of the way, it's no secret that July 20th, 1969 will be remembered forever, as this was the day that Buzz Aldrin and Neil Armstrong made history, becoming the first men to walk on the moon. But let's not talk about that. Let's talk about the next day, July 21st, when Richard Nixon, with the help of Mission Control, made a phone call to the moon. Now this was no easy task, as you would expect, and preparations were made well in advance, but after intense preparations came to pass, a radio channel connected the two sides. Keeping it short, sweet, and inspiring, this historic phone call is an awesome moment in American history. Let's move on to something a little less serious, as sometime in the administration of Ulysses S. Grant, it was a common occurrence to have stagecoaches and buggies drive too fast, and in Washington, an incident occurred of such, seriously injuring a woman and a young child. The officers that day were well aware, more so than usual, and a William West had a fast-driving buggy pull by him. He pulled it over, only to find that its driver was the commander-in-chief himself. Most likely a little intimidated, West warned the president to slow down and sent him off with a stern warning, one that was replied with a promise that it wouldn't happen again. Ever a man of his word, Grant was pulled over the very next day for the same thing. This time, sticking to protocol, West placed Ulysses S. Grant under arrest. Grant forfeited $20 in collateral, which equates to over $300 adjusted for inflation today, becoming the only president in office to receive such a ticket, on a horse no less. But let's move on. Let's make the tone even less serious and talk about 1831. This was the year that Abraham Lincoln moved to New Salem, Illinois. 30 years before being sworn into office, he worked there as a clerk for Denton Offutt. Very much behind his employee, Denton would brag about him to anyone, saying that he could whip any man in the community, a claim that grabbed the attention of the Clary's Grove boys. The boys were a rowdy gang of sorts, and upon hearing of the supposedly tough clerk, challenged Abe to a wrestling match. Lincoln accepted and faced off with Jack Armstrong, the leader. What followed was a match for the ages, as both men were equal in power, and as time drove on, eventually, Jack gave in to exhaustion and admitted defeat. Shortly thereafter, Lincoln and Armstrong became the best of friends, earning the respect of one another, and the president-to-be garnered a reputation of being a tough man to rumble with. Pretty cool if you ask me. But thanks for watching, and thanks for the continued support. Have a suggestion? I love those. Give them here. Thanks again. Have a good 4th of July and night.